For our next guest, I had a chance to meet this man about a year ago. And if ever in your life you wanted to complain, you wanted to play a victim, you wanted to, find reasons for why you have excuses for playing down in life, this is a guy that has defied everything you could imagine. You'll understand what I mean when he takes, when we get him up here on the TV. He lives in Florida right now and wasn't able to come in, but he's spoken at the last several Tony Robbins events. He's one of the most dynamic speakers I've ever heard, and it's such an honor to be friends and to have this guy with us today. So let's give it up for Nick Santonastasso.
Hey. All right, great. Here, I'm echoing. I can hear myself on my own screen. Here, hold on. I'm gonna mute myself. Great. So I cannot hear myself, but I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna rip this open. Jimmy, grateful for the opportunity to serve. I'm gonna get through some short but really powerful things. And by the way, if it looks like I'm crying, I'm not feeling too well, but I'm gonna do my best to serve you here today. And so some of you may know me, some of you may not know me. I'm one of the most handsome men with no legs and one arm that you've ever seen in your life. And so I was actually born with what we call Hanhart syndrome. And Hanhart syndrome was a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And so at the time of my birth in 1996, I was actually the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies have passed away due to undeveloped organs. Now, the reason why I share that, I'm going to jump into this because I don't have much time, is they told my parents I had about a 30% chance to live. And in that moment, my parents made a decision. I want somebody to say, I can't hear y'all, but I want you to say decision. Somebody say decision, right? Oftentimes we think changing our life is this big, drastic thing, when in reality, your life changes in a moment of decision. Your life changes when you decide to leave a toxic relationship. Your life changes when you decide to put the cake down and start lifting weights. Your life changes when you decide to build that business. And so all of your life is going to change in moments of decision. Now, by the way, we've been indoctrinated at a very early age. I'm going to get into the brain and all this different type of stuff, but most of your beliefs were cultivated between 0 and 7 years old. And the reason being is because your brain was in what we call theta state. And theta state just means you're very suggestible, right? So for example, I'll play a little game here, and I can't see the crowd here, so I'm just playing off of believing that I can see you, right? I'm going to share a few sentences. And if you've ever heard these sentences as a young person, a young boy, young girl, wherever you are, I just want you to raise your hand. Or yeah, I want you to raise your hand. We can't afford that. Big boys don't cry. Big girls don't cry. This is a good one. Money doesn't grow on trees. Now, I don't know if you know this, but they print that shit. They print it, and they printed way too much of it. Money does grow on trees. So at a very early age, we were taught these things, and we started to believe that. At a very early age, you believed money was hard to make. At a very early age, you thought rich people were greedy. At a very early age, someone told you, don't cry, big boys don't cry, big girls don't cry. And at an early age, you believed that authenticity, vulnerability, and showing emotion was weak. And so what I'm going to do here over this 30 minutes, 30 minutes, is I'm going to take you through a specific exercise that's going to allow you to identify some patterns in your life that are holding you back. And I want you to note this. One of the most powerful tools that you can learn in your business and in your life is something that we call pattern recognition. And what pattern recognition states is I'm going to put a spotlight on things that you cannot see, so you can strip power away from them. And what if I were to tell you the majority of things that are holding you back in your life right now, you cannot see them. You can only see what you can see, and you can only hear what you can hear. And so I'm going to help you identify patterns. Now, what's pretty cool about patterns is if a pattern shows up in your business, it probably shows up in your personal life. If a pattern shows up in your relationship, it probably shows up with your health and fitness. All these patterns bleed into one another. And I'm going to take you through a few exercises to identify patterns that you can break free from. And so going back to the story, they gave me about a 30% chance to live. And in that moment, my parents made a decision. And the decision was that they were going to focus on the 30% chance of me living versus the 70% chance of me dying. The reason being, I want you to write this down. I want you to note this. What I focus on, I get more of. What I focus on expands. But most importantly, my friends, what I focus on, I feel. And what I feel is my life. And let's back this up. If what I focus on, I get more of, what I focus on, I feel, and what I feel is my life, that would mean that the quality of my life actually comes down to the quality of the emotions I feel on a day-to-day basis. And I'll prove it to you. How many of you, and I can't see you, but I'm pretending here, how many of you know people with money who are still pissed off and angry? Show of hands. Yeah, point to them in the room. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that shit, right? But you know people who have all the money in the world, but they're still pissed off and angry. And then you go to a third world country, you go to Mexico, and you're driving and you look on the side of the road and you see a kid kicking the can and he's happier than you. And you go, who's really rich? It's the kid who's experiencing these the emotions that he wants to feel on a day-to-day basis. And so what if I can help you identify patterns so you can start feeling specific emotions on a day-to-day basis? Now, by the way, I want you to get the money. I love money. Money's great. You can do amazing things with money. But the truth is, my friend, you don't want the money. You don't want the Lamborghini. You don't want the house. You want how the house is going to make you feel. It's going to make me feel successful. It's going to make me feel worthy. It's going to make me feel loved. What if we can feel those specific emotions right now? And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take you through what we call the 3 focus patterns. I want you to note this, 3 focus patterns. And these are 3 patterns that screw most humans and entrepreneurs up. And if you can be aware of these patterns, you can start to become conscious and strip power away from them because they're happening in your life. And so I'm playing off of a mirror of me. I can't see anybody, but I can only see me. And I'm going to take you through these 3 focus patterns. And I just want you to take a couple seconds and identify where you are. And by the way, be honest with yourself. The truth will set you free. And if you lean into this, I think it'd be one of the greatest gifts that you give yourself today. And so the first question that I'm going to ask you is, in my life, the majority of the times, am I focusing on the things that I have or the things that I don't have? Take a second. In my life, the majority of the times, am I focusing on the things that I have or the things that I don't have? Now, of course, you probably focus on both, but maybe there's one focus pattern that's more dominant than the other. Now, I can't gauge the room. I can't see anyone here, so I'm just going to play off. How many of you in your business, in your relationships, with your health, your fitness, tend to find yourself focusing on the things that you don't have? I'd be curious. Good. How many of you on this side focus on the things that you do have? How many of you are like, screw this guy, you can't see me, I'm not going to raise my hand regardless of what he says? I know there's some of you there, right? Now, let's break this down. Let's take a man with no legs and one arm, for example, this guy. If a man with no legs and one arm woke up every single day and let my brain run the show and I wasn't aware, and I focus on all the things that I didn't have, is Nick's quality of life good or bad? Quick. It's bad. Exactly. And so in your life, in your business, are you focusing on the things that you have right now or all the things that you don't have? In your relationship, are you focusing on all the things that you have or all the things that you don't have? With your relationships, whatever it may be. Now, what I want you to understand, I want you to note, is when you focus on the things that you don't have, you not only feel bad, but it puts you into an unresourceful state. I want you to note that. When I focus on the things that I don't have, it puts me in an unresourceful state. And when you're in an unresourceful state, you're not solution-oriented. You're not going to achieve things. You're not going to go out. You're going to be stuck in your shitty diaper because you're focused on all that you don't have, right? Now, the second focus pattern I'd ask is, in my life, the majority of the times, am I focusing on the things that I can control or the things that I can't control? Take a second. In my life, the majority of the times, am I focusing on the things that I can control or the things that I can't control? Now, how many of you, with a show of hands, would agree that there's a lot of things that we can't control? There's a ton of things that we can't control. Shutdowns, pandemic, recession, fear, news, politics, whatever it may be. There's a lot of things that we can't control. So I want you to note this. During this time, right? During this time, there's a lot of talk of winter, recession, downturn, fear, whatever it may be. And I want you to understand that there's 2 types of people during this time. There's one person during winter, during recession, who freezes to death. And the other person builds a fire, learns how to snowboard, and enjoys it with the family. This doesn't have to be a negative time for you. This doesn't have to be an uncertain time for you. It's the meaning that you give things. But one way that you could bring certainty to uncertain times, I want you to note this, is I must control my controllables. I must control the things that I can control. And so I'm going to give you 3 things that are massively important that you can control that is going to allow you to bring certainty to an uncertain time. The first thing that you can control, I am teaching it to you in the moment, is your focus. Can you control your focus? Yes or no? Absolutely. You can control your focus. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you can control, which is massively important, which you're exercising right now, is the content that you consume on a day-to-day basis. My friend, there is fear all around you. There is fear in the news, the media, politics, wars, killing. There's fear all around you. But you get what you focus on, right? And so I must control the content that I'm consuming on a day-to-day basis and making sure it's empowering and it's something that's going to elevate me, and which you're exercising here inside of this group. The last thing that you can control is the people that you surround yourself with on a day-to-day basis. And I know you've heard it, but the truth is, if you're not evaluating your circle, I could probably assume my hallucination is about 80% of the people in your life are probably holding you back. Now, y'all know this term is the people that I'm surrounding myself with, are they liabilities or are they assets? Ooh. Are they liabilities or are they assets? Now, this is a tough one because sometimes it's your closest family and friends that don't align with your growth. They don't align with your vision. Why are you going to that event? Why are you spending so much money? What are you guys doing in that room? Right? They don't understand it. Now, by the way, don't go home and say, Uncle Bob or Babe, I was at this conference and this guy with no legs or arm, he told me to cut you off. Don't do that. It makes me look really bad. But what you do, and I want you to note this, what you do is you love people from afar, meaning you don't give them all your time and energy because you're busy creating more, you're doing more, you're impacting more. Because your time and your energy are your two most valuable assets because you can never get them back. And so are you hanging around in liabilities or are you hanging around with assets? Now, to shoot it straight with you, if you hang around people who are overweight, you become overweight. I'm going to shoot it straight. If you hang around people who have toxic relationships, you start to adopt toxic relationships. And when you hang around people who have low standards, it's only a matter of time before you start lowering your own damn standards. And I want you to note this. In my life, I not only get what my standards are, but I get what I tolerate. You see, if you look at your bank account, if you look at your body, if you look at your relationships, if you look at your mind and the way that you operate, this is a direct reflection of you and your standards. Some of us have standards of just getting by. Some of us have standards of just 10,000 a month, whatever it is. Some of us have standards of I got to make 100 grand a month. But you get what your standards are. And so if you want to elevate your life, you must elevate your proximity, but also elevate your standards. So control your controllables, the things that you can control. This is all we got and how we bring certainty to an uncertain world. Now, the third focus pattern. Take a second here. I know I'm rapid firing, by the way. I can't see anyone. I'm just ripping it and I don't have much time, right? The third focus pattern is in my life. The majority of the times, am I focusing on the past, the present, or the future? Take a second. In my life, the majority of the times, am I focusing on the past, the present, or the future? Now, there's no right or wrong answer. There could be multiple answers. But where do you find yourself focusing on a lot? Now, I've trained over 1 million people live on stage. I've trained over 1 million people live on stage. When you train that many people, you identify patterns. And so I can't even see the room here, but I want you to watch this. Play full out here. Raise your hand. I can't see you, but watch this. How many of you in this room love to focus on the future? Look around. Put your hands high. I can't see you, but put them damn hands up. I don't got an arm. If you got an arm, throw it up. Y'all love to focus on the future. You love to focus on the future because you're focusing on the things that you're going to do, the things that you're going to create. You're on to the next deal, on to the next build, on to the next meeting. And that's great. I love that about you. But if you're always focused on the future, you may miss what's right in front of you. So there's got to be a balance. Now, how many people in this room find themselves focusing on the past? Show of hands. Right? Maybe a few of you. There's probably a few, maybe half hands, right? They're like, this guy can't even see me. Now, the brain loves to focus on the past. The brain loves to remind you of your failures, your insecurities, your weaknesses, all the things that you're not good at. Now, watch this. This is one of the most powerful things that I can give you. The difference between humans and superhumans. The difference between an average person and an outstanding person. The difference between the rich or the poor and the wealthy is that successful people do not waste any energy on undesirable outcomes. Are you hearing me? Successful people don't spend or waste any amount of energy on undesirable outcomes in the future. Most humans walk around portraying the worst case scenario. It's not going to work. The business is going to fail. No one's going to buy my offer. This sucks. The webinar is terrible. They walk around portraying the worst case scenario. And because they portray the worst case scenario, they never take action. So one of the greatest disciplines that you can exercise is being optimistically delusional, is constantly training your brain to only focus on desirable outcomes. Where would you be in your business, your life, your health, if you were only creating desirable outcomes in your life? It would change the game, right? But what often happens as well is when we focus on the past. For example, I'll give you an example. I was about 13 years old and I was on a school bus and there was a girl to the left of me and she was making fun of everyone. I'm like, oh, damn, she's going to have a field day with me. And I look to my left and this girl looks me in my eyes and she says, Nick, I don't even have to start with you. You're already too messed up anyway. Look at you. Now, because of that specific scenario, based on a specific experience, we then develop beliefs. And because of that experience, I developed beliefs that I wasn't good enough, that girls don't like me, that I'll never have a girlfriend, I'll never have a wife, I'll never go to my junior prom, I'll never have a senior prom. And this is what I call a misdiagnosis. Someone say misdiagnosis. That's right. A misdiagnosis, meaning you dictate your success based off of one failure or one negative experience. Where did you stop trying because it didn't work right away? Oof. Where did you stop trying or stop pursuing to get a specific result because you didn't get it right away? It didn't happen right away. You got told no. There was some rejection. There was some hardship. So you quit. You diagnose yourself based off one experience. You see, I want you to note this. You must be persistent enough to get the result or the experience that you want. You must suck long enough to be great at something. But most humans don't want to suck long enough. You must suck long enough in order to be great at something. So these are 3 focus patterns that I'm just making you aware of, which, by the way, anytime that you're feeling uncertainty, not confident, insecure, overwhelmed, anxiety, you can ask yourself, am I focusing on the things that I have or the things that I don't have? Am I focusing on the things that I can control or the things that I can't control? Am I focusing on the past experience or right here and what I can control in this very moment? And you can identify this. By the way, I know a lot of you are high level. You're all high level if you're in this group. And you probably have teams and stuff. These patterns you can then teach to your employees as well. Hey, are you focusing on what you have or what you don't have? What's right or what's wrong? This is how you start to shift people. And by the way, what you'll notice here is I'm not here to give you answers. By the way, my nose is running like a mother. My nose is running. I'm sorry. I'm not here to give you answers. You see, great leaders ask their people great questions to lead them to their own answers. I'm not better than you. Who the hell am I? I just know how to lead you to the right answers with some questions. And so these are 3 focus patterns. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to help you identify where you live emotionally. And if you can identify where you live emotionally, you can see how much time you spend in a shitty diaper so you can get out of it, so you can change your diaper, so you can be better for your family, your son, your mom, your grandpa, your team, and identify what type of emotional states are you bringing to other people as well, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some specific questions, and I want you to be honest with yourself. But before I get into the exercise, I want you to note that there's 2 different types of emotional states. How many different types of states? That's right, 2. If you got 2 fingers, I only got 1, hold them up. Here we go, right? There's 2 different types of emotional states. You have your suffering states and you have your beautiful states. Your suffering states are all the emotions that you don't like feeling. Now, if I was there, I'd say shout them out, but I'll give you some. The suffering states are all the emotions that you don't like feeling. These are emotions like insecurity, inferior, overwhelm, anxiety, stress, anger, sadness, unfulfillment, lonely, rejection. These are all the things that you don't like to feel. Now, your beautiful states are all the emotions that you want to feel more of. Gratitude, joy, certainty, confidence, strength, whatever that looks like, sexy, attractive. These are all the things that you want to feel. And so all I'm going to do is this first question, I'm going to ask you the same question, but I'm going to input different emotions. Now, bear with me here because I can't see anyone, I can't hear anyone, and so I'm going to give you time to write, and I want you to lean into this. By the way, this is the work that when you start to do this exercise, your brain goes, I got to go pee, or I got to go to the bathroom, or I got to go eat something. Your brain doesn't want you to do this work. This is the work that most people don't do. So lean into this. I'm going to make you a little bit uncomfortable here, but it's for your best interest, all right? First question. In my life, how frequently do I experience the emotion of anger? Is it once a year? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Is it once a day? Is it multiple times a day? Is it all day? How often do I experience the emotion of insecurity? Is it once a year? Once a month? Once a week? Once a day? Multiple times a day? How often do I experience the emotion of anxiety or stress? So once a year. So once a month. So once a day. Multiple times a day. How often do I experience the emotion of unfulfilled or inferior, not enough? So once a year. Once a month. Once a week. Once a day. Multiple times a day. Now, at this point, if you leaned into this, you've probably identified a specific emotion that you feel a lot of. Just wave at me. I can't see you, but wave at me if you've identified emotion that you experience a lot of. Well done. Good. Now, this is where you live. This is your emotional home. When shit goes bad, you feel this. Even when things go great, you probably feel this emotion a lot. Now, before I ask you the second question, I want to explain to you why I'm going to ask this question. Humans will change for two reasons. How many reasons? Quick. Good. They'll change for two reasons. Either pain or pleasure. But humans will always run away from pain faster than we'll run towards pleasure. And I'll prove it to you. Most of us don't start going to the gym until the doctor says you're fat, you got diabetes. Most of you don't start going to the gym until your girl leaves you. We don't start leaving the relationship until it gets physically abusive or emotionally abusive. Oftentimes, you got to experience enough pain until it changes. You see, there was a guy, he was walking down the road. He was on his way to work, and he notices there was a dog chained up on the porch, and the dog was crying and crying and crying. He goes, man, I wonder what's wrong with that dog. And so he walks to work. He works an 8-hour shift, and on the way home at night, he sees the dog still chained out there, and the dog's yapping and yapping and yapping. He's like, this is so weird. And so he goes to sleep. He wakes up the next morning, and he sees that the dog is out there crying, and the owner is out there. So he walks up onto the porch, and he goes, mister, your dog's been crying for like 24 hours. What's wrong with him? He said, oh, him? He's sitting on a nail. He goes, sitting on a nail? Why doesn't he get up? He said, I guess it just don't hurt that bad. Some of you aren't to your next level because it don't hurt that bad. You're comfortable. You need leverage in order to shift. So I'm going to give you leverage here right now with the second question. Based on your emotional home, my second question to you, my friend, is who have I hurt because of that suffering state? Who have I hurt because of my emotional home? Who have I hurt because of my anger? Who have I hurt because of my anxiety and stress? Who have I hurt because of my insecurity? There are probably names that come to your head. Write them down. Get as much leverage as you need. Who have I hurt because of my loneliness? Me feeling inferior. Who have I hurt? Now, at this point, most of the room probably realized that they're not only hurting themselves. When you go home after a long day of being an achiever, which dad are they getting? Are they getting happy and fulfilled dad, or pissed off and angry one? Who's your significant other getting? Are they getting insecure you, or confident and certain you? And who's your team getting? Pissed off and angry, or gratitude and joy filled? Who are you showing up as? And my third question to you is, why must I commit to ending my suffering states? And when I mean ending suffering states, I'm not saying that you're never going to feel shitty emotions again. What I'm saying is, this is how you go from shitty days to shitty minutes, because you know how to manage your emotions. You know how to snap yourself out of a negative state. So why must I commit to ending my suffering? What will it give me? What will it give me when I show up more certain, more confident, more grateful? What will it give me? What will it give my family? What will it give my team? What will it give my kids? What will it give you? Take a second. I'll sit back. I can't even see anyone. I'll sit back. Look at my Santa shirt. Take a look. It's cool, right? He's deadlifting. What will it give me when I live in a beautiful state more? When I choose to live in a beautiful state? When I choose to live in certainty and gratitude and joy and confidence? Now, what you'll notice, and I want you to note this, and I'm so sorry, guys, my nose is running, I look terrible, is your beautiful states are your resourceful states. Let me say that again. Your beautiful states are your resourceful states. When you're in those beautiful states, that's when you're creating. That's when you're killing it. That's when you're solution oriented. That's when you're knocking down barriers. You're moving the needle forward. And your suffering states are the unresourceful states, when you're stuck. And what you'll notice is that when you are in a suffering state, that is the kryptonite to your beautiful state. You can't have both. You can't be in both. You can't be in both diapers. You can't be in a clean diaper and a shitty diaper at the same time. And you'll notice that when you're in a beautiful state, it totally eliminates the suffering state. Now, the challenge is, it's easy to live in a beautiful state when money's coming in. When you got that girl or guy. When you're looking good at the gym. Clients are coming in. But the true challenge is, can I live in a beautiful state when shit's not going my way? That's when you're truly tested. That's when you're truly battle tested. Is, can I live in a beautiful state no matter what is happening to me? That is going to be a game changer, because your success in business and in life is directly correlated to how much chaos you can withstand, my friend. How much shit you can eat. How many punches you can take. And what if I were to tell you that every single time that you were experiencing a problem, a challenge, a trial, a tribulation, this was a sign from your creator that you were moving in the right direction? I want you to note this: disruption follows intention. Disruption follows intention. Anytime that I'm intentional, anytime that I'm about to create, do something amazing, I am going to get some disruption from the universe. It's my test to see if I'm worthy of having that, worthy of the success, worthy of the wealth, whatever it may be. So at this point, you've identified some focus patterns that you can strip power away from, right? You've identified your emotional home and how to shift that and who you've been hurting so you can strip power away from it. And the last thing that I'm going to give you, because I think I have about 5 minutes left. The last thing that I'm going to give you is one of the most powerful techniques that you can master. And by the way, all of these things that I'm going to teach you, and all of these things that Jimmy and all these amazing people are going to teach you, everything that you learn in life is a muscle. Yeah, flex your muscles. I can't see you, but flex your muscles, right? It's a muscle. And I want you to understand this. When you're learning anything, you have to understand that there's 3 parts of the brain. And the 3 parts of the brain is the thinking. You have the thinking brain. You have the doing brain. And you have the being brain. Now, I'll give you an example. If you ever remember the first time you learned how to drive a car, right? The first time you learned how to drive a car, you got in the car and you're freaking out, right? You put your seatbelt on. You're checking your mirrors. You got a driver instructor in there. You're a little bit scared. And then you slowly get on your way. And then we got some reps in, repetition. We got some reps in. Someone say reps. Somebody say reps. That's right, reps. You got some reps in, and then you drove 5 times. You drove 10 times. And then the 10th time you got in your car, you put your seatbelt on, you put the music on, and you were on your way. Now, at this point in your life, you have driven hundreds and hundreds and thousands of times. How many of you in this room right now have ever driven from point A to point B and had no idea where time went? That's because you got so many reps with driving where you went from thinking driving to doing driving to what? To being driving. You have that unconscious competence. So where in your life right now, whether it's your business strategy or your personal life, where in your life do you need to get more reps? Where do you need to get more reps so you have more competence and you have more confidence? Where do you need to get more reps? Now, I'll leave you here with this. I travel a lot. I don't have a jet yet, and so I fly commercial. I'm not as cool as some people yet. And I was on a Southwest Flight 244, and they roll me up in the terminal in a wheelchair. And does anyone know what happens when you roll up in the terminal in a wheelchair? You get to skip the line, right? Leverage, focus on your strengths. And so I skipped the line, and they roll me down, and I'm the first person in the plane. And I sat on the first row, and I sat at the window seat so 2 other people can have the best seats in the plane. And I remember the flight attendant saying, "Honey, this is going to be a full flight." I said, "No worries. I already got my seat. I'm ready to rock." And the plane started filling in. The plane started filling in, and people are looking at me and then looking away, or, "Hey, look at that guy," whispering under their breath. And the plane started filling in, and no one wanted to sit next to me. And I started to experience emotions that we all feel: insecure, inferior, uncomfortable, unconfident, like I didn't fit in. And finally, 2 gentlemen had to sit down, and I'm looking out the window. I'm trying to be a stud, but I'm crying. And I said, "Nick, practice what you preach. You're getting tested here. Practice what you preach. What would you tell the people?" And I said, "It's the meaning that I give this. I'm the meaning maker. I got to give it the meaning." I said, "Nick, you can cry all the way home. You can let this affect your day, your week, your month. Or Nick could celebrate the fact that he has the most leg room in this plane." If you got fingers, snap them. I ain't got them. I'm not flipping you off. Come on, snap your fingers here. In the snap of a finger, I was able to take a situation that was a loss and turn it into a what? A win. That's right. By the meaning I attached to the scenario. I want you to note this. When you change the meaning, you change your life. And when you change the story, you change your life as well. You are the meaning maker, and you decide what is negative and what's positive based on the meaning. And based on the meaning, you're going to feel a specific way. Is this the end for you? Or is this the beginning? Is this a challenge in your life? Or is this a worthy opponent? Is this a curse? Or is this a gift from God challenging me to be better? You must control the meaning that you give things, because if you let the brain run the show, the brain will give everything a disempowering meaning. I'm 26 years old. For the majority of my life, I thought being born with no legs and 1 arm was the biggest curse, the most disgusting thing that could happen to me. Until one day I asked myself a better question. And the question was, "Nick, what's right about having no legs and 1 arm?" And we asked a great question, you get a great answer. My brain goes, "Nick, if a girl doesn't want to love on you because you have no legs and 1 arm, if someone doesn't want to do business with you because you have no legs and 1 arm, if someone doesn't want to be friends with you because of your condition, then wait. Maybe this disability, this curse, whatever you want to call it, is actually a gift, and it's working for you. And it's acting as an authentic human filter. And it's filtering out the type of men and women that you don't want in your life anyway." What a gift. What a blessing. What a meaning. if there's anything that you get from today, I want you to understand that in your life and in your business, 80% is psychology, 20% is mechanics. Y'all know the mechanics. You've been known the mechanics. But the psychology, it usually is the biggest bottleneck to every CEO in every person's life. That's how a man with no legs of an arm at 26 has 2 7-figure companies, owns rehab centers, does all these amazing things. It's all cool, all that shit. It's all great. But I'm not different than you. I have less resources. I have less mechanics. But what I do have is a superhuman psychology. And with these few tools that I give you, if you continuously practice this, I promise you life will never be the same. I love you guys. Jimmy, thank you for the opportunity. I'm so sorry that I came in sick. I wish I could have been there in person. I'm gauging the room. I can only see myself and I look beautiful, but I hope you guys had an amazing time. Play full out on this event. Make sure you take notes. And remember, never be above information. The very belief that you think you've mastered something is the very belief that's holding you back from the next level of life. Send in love, my friends. I'll see y'all soon. Jimmy, thank you so much, brother.